welcome back to the weirdness. It's me, your boy Jane here with part 2 of the hair video. So I realized after watching the first video and getting a couple comments and some feedback and everything, which I love when you guys tell me I'm doing great, tell me I fucked up, or whatever. Just tell me, talk to me. I love that. I am very talkative, obviously. So I realized after I watched over it and everything that I fucked up. I made all this talk about how I was going to do an informative video and didn't really inform you of anything. So I decided to do a part 2, strictly the facts. Well, I might bite my tongue on that later because I might say some shit. I don't know. We'll see. I wanted to just make this as, like, if you're interested in getting dreads, you've been thinking about it for a while and you just don't know the process and you're not sure, you want somebody that you know that has them to talk about their experience and exactly what you need to do for it. So that's what I'm here for. So let's just get right into it. There's a few different methods when it comes to locking your hair, and which one you use kind of depends on a couple of different things. I.e. hair type, tender-headedness, meaning, you know, your head hurts. Can't deal with the pulling too much. Me, myself, I like the pulling. But anyway, your reason for doing dreads in general can actuate which method you actually use. So today, you can see I actually wore my hair down in this, and it's looking fucking awesome. My hair looks great today. I didn't wear it down in part 1. I had just washed it, and I realized that really didn't make sense. Why would I do a hair video without my hair all out and being fabulous? You can see it's kind of long, comes down past my ass, but that's not what this is about. Let's just get into the methods. The first and oldest method, of course, is neglect, okay? Basically, you just don't brush or comb your hair. You still wash it because not washing your hair builds up oils and grease, and it actually counteracts the dreading process. Like, your hair gets greasy and it gets stuff built up on the follicles, and they won't stick together, right? So you want clean, kind of dry, frizzy kind of hair to start it, but the neglect style leads to freeform dreads, you know, purists and, you know, vegans, Rastas, they generally use this specific method, and basically it just does its own thing. You know, you let it mat up on its own, and if, you know, you just let it go, you get freeform dreads. Also, you have a tendency to get, if you love, like, the real fat kind of dreads, the wild looking Johns, in the community they lovingly call those Congos. But if you don't want those, you can move on to the next method for a more controlled freeform, and that's twist and rip. So basically, twist and rip can be either the next step from neglecting and, you know, doing freeform dreads, or you could just do it like this. It's exactly how it sounds and equally painful. So tender-headed folks probably, you know, you shouldn't try this method. And basically, you can either let your hair section on its own, you know, individual little bits, or you can do it yourself manually to kind of have a little more control over where they are, at least, and your sections and how they grow. So then after it's sectioned, you go by section, and you rip them separate. You rip it about an inch away from the root, and then you twist it. 1, 2, 3, rip, twist, rip, twist, rip, until you get down to the bottom. This kind of hurts, obviously, because, you know, you're ripping your own hair. So, especially up near the scalp, it's gonna be painful. And some people are into that kind of thing. I won't say any names, but anyway, so yeah, twist, rip, like I said, this is great for doing kind of free-form dreads, just starting them out and having a little, if you're one of those OCD but you still kind of want the wild look, this is for you. The next method, and the one that I used to do my hair, and is probably the longest process to actually do, is the backcombing / crocheting method, and they go hand in hand. I wouldn't ever suggest strictly using crocheting to make dreads. It just doesn't, you won't get the look you want, but if you're into that kind of look, you know, look up some pics of strictly crocheted dreads, and if you're into that, shit, fucking do it, I don't care. But they go hand in hand. And so, backcombing. This is the method I used, and you remember how, like, bitches in the 80s and early 90s and 70s, and I'm pretty sure they've been doing it for a while. They do it now. They used to tease their hair, you know, like, and lots of hairspray, so it's like that without the hairspray. You basically section your hair, and you can be real meticulous, and I'm kind of control freak, so this is why I did this method. You can be real meticulous and pick exactly where you want your sections, and you go from there. So starting from about an inch away from the scalp, just like with twist and rip, you take a little comb. It kind of actually, it looks like a lice comb, and you can actually use a lice comb. The little bristles on it, the tines on the comb, are flat. So it like collects the hair better or whatever. Actually, side note, when I first started my dreads, I actually ordered a starter kit from Dreadhead HQ because I'm lazy. And I actually ended up not even using most of the stuff that came in it. I did use the shampoo for a while, and it was okay, but it's expensive. It's a natural shampoo. It's got very little junk in it. It's just enough to clean your hair. I've switched to Dr. Bronner's and ACVs, but we'll talk about that later. So, where even was I? Right, when I did my dreads, I actually used, they have this product called Lock Pepper, which is basically just like peppermint dust, okay? And it's kind of gritty. It's not sticky, but it sticks. And when you put it on your hair, it sticks to the follicles and kind of makes them like frizzy. So they'll stick to each other better and makes the locking process easier. So you go section by section with your regular freshly sectioned hair. Make sure it's clean and super dry. And you take the comb and you comb up. Pull it, or you can loose it out if you don't really like the way it came out, and then comb up, pull it. You can twist it. Actually, when I was doing this, I was turning it as I did it, and that really helps get the knots all together. Is it as meticulous as it sounds? Yes. Yes, it is. It is, like I said, the longest method for doing it. But you can get it the way you want it. This is the most efficient to get it the way you want it. It takes about 100 strokes, depending on your hairs, give or take a few. It takes about 100 strokes per inch. And like in my first video, I was saying it took me a month to do by myself because I had hair down past my ass, and it would take an entire Phillies game, that's baseball. It would take an entire baseball game to do just one. And at the end of it, my hair was up here. So that's one thing you need to know is when you do dread your hair, imagine it like braiding, but worse. You lose about 2/3, from half to 2/3 of your actual length. But that's okay, because in my experience, the stimulation that your scalp gets just from growing in these weird wiry ways actually promotes hair growth. My hair grows faster now than it ever did, and it's always grown pretty fast. I can get, 6 to 8, 9 inches a year, and it's crazy. It's a little extra for me, I think, but it's my superpower, and I love it. So yeah, it takes about that long, and it will be super annoying. My fingers hurt so bad, like they were raw, because you're just like holding it and pressing it against your thumb and pulling it, and your fingers hurt. Poor little fingies. Then with the crochet thing, like I said, it goes hand in hand with backcombing. So basically, after that's done, and in the next couple months where you'll need to like, you'll be frustrated with your hair because it'll be super frizzy and it'll shrink and it'll be spindly and yucky, like I was saying in my first video. So it'll have all these extra little hairs sticking out from new growth, or just they pop out of their dreads or whatever. They do it. It's there. It happens, like these guys right here. I'm trying to grow fringe. I started out with fringe. I also started out with only 29 dreads, and now I have almost 50. So since then, definitely moving up in the world in dread count. But anyway, crocheting is exactly what it sounds like. You could buy actually a special tool, or you can get the really thin, tiny crochet needles, but the special tool actually will close. So you will grab the little extra hair in the crochet needle and pull it through the dread. And just go back and forth, pulling it through the dread until the little extra hair is gone. And now it's in your dread. So now that you know what crocheting's about, you can kind of understand why I would suggest against doing entirely crocheting for your method, because it's not going to look good particularly, and it's going to take you even longer. So yeah, let's move on to the next method, which is from what I've learned from my friends that have afro hair and dreads. And when I say afro hair, I don't mean an actual afro. I'm pretty sure you guys understand what I'm saying. They have a different texture, and their hair is definitely more coarse, most of the time more curly, and so from what I've learned from them, they use the twist or braid method, which basically they just section their hair while it's clean and wet and braid it, and then allow it to dry in those braids. And then when it's dry, they unbraid it, and it's all crinkly. Okay? You know how like you braid your hair, you take it out, it's like wavy? That's kind of like what's going on here. Not anymore. It was kind of wavy, but now it's not anymore. Bitch. Anyway, so it'll be crinkly, and that actually helps it hold better when they do the next part, which is rebraiding it or twisting it. So they'll twist it or rebraid it, and they'll put a little thing at the bottom, little rubber band at the bottom, which no matter who you are, you always remove the rubber bands. When you do your sections, when you're first starting, whatever method you're using, remove the rubber bands after you're done dreading them. They will melt into your hair. Take it from somebody that learned the hard way and had to like fucking acid wash my head because I lost a couple. An alternative to rubber bands is like satin, like twine. Not yarn. You want to use like thread because it's not fuzzy. The yarn will get eaten and go moldy and it'll just disappear into your hair. But like the coated kind of thread is probably best for those situations, because even if you do forget to take them out, it's not gonna melt and it'll just kind of become part of your hair. So back onto the twist and braids. So they twist and braid, and they tie it up, and then boom, they got the start of their dreads. And now, just like with not normal, that's rude of me, but just like with other methods, it takes between 6 and 12 to sometimes 24 months to for the process to be completed. And like I said in the last video, you gotta be able to commit. You gotta be able to commit, because there's gonna be a lot of days you're not gonna like your hair. You're gonna feel the urge to shave it, cut it out, or whatever. If you want dreads, you need to be prepared. Buy lots of head coverings for the days that you don't like them. If you're not a makeup person, you're not very vain, don't look in the mirror, because then you won't see them. But I invested in a lot of hats, beanies, Tams. Make sure they're loose and not too tight, because you don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on them and kind of keep them. It kind of prevents them from locking. Look at this. Why? That's what it wants. That's why we love it. So this method, this twist and braid method, I've noticed it does not work. If at all, barely on Caucasian hair. Because you just don't have the right texture for it to stick unless you use something like lock pepper or like roll fine grain salt to kind of make them stick together, because it's not gonna lock. The braids are just gonna be messy looking braids, which is another way some people do it. They just braid their hair and let it go. That way, not my cup of tea, but some people do it. Probably the fastest way to do it. So then there is a lot more maintenance. You know what? No, there's not a lot more maintenance with Afro dreads. It's just they use product. And with like Caucasian hair, it's dangerous to use product. I'm kind of jealous because they'll use, when they get their maintenance, they'll get their roots twisted up and smooth them out so it's not all frizzy. So they'll use, a light holding gel, very light, or some natural oils just to kind of smooth them down, and then just it washes out over time, I can't do that because it sticks to my hair follicles. Any kind of conditioner, oh, that's another thing you need to know. When you have dreads, you need to pay attention to what you're putting in them afterwards. You can't use the same shampoos you were using before. You gotta use natural soaps, bars. There's dread soap made for it. However, it's expensive, and you can just kind of find an all natural shampoo. I use Dr. Bronner's. You know what? Let's go on to that. As I said in my first video, I wash my hair 4 times a month. Now, in the very beginning, in the first couple months, 2 months, 3 months of your newborn baby dreads, you want to wash it more often, because them being clean it makes fucking English sucks. I hate it. It makes the dreads lock better. So you just you wash it 2-3 times a week, every other day or whatever, until, you get to a few months, and then you switch to once a week, because overwashing can lead to dandruff, dry scalp, or super oily scalp, and a lot of problems. I just lost my train of thought. Wow, guys. This is so interesting. So yeah, washing your hair. Like I said, 3 times a month. The first 3 weeks of the month, I use Dr. Bronner's, the peppermint stuff, really diluted. So I'll do 20 to 1. And it's just a little tiny bit of soap in a giant bottle, and I dump it on my head and squidge it in. The last week of the month, I do a clarifying rinse. So all you ladies that use clarifying shampoos because you put a lot of product in your normie, regular people hair, you might want to switch, because what I do is at the end of the month, I take sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and I take about a half a cup of it because I need a lot. Not a half a cup, about a quarter of a cup. And I add just enough water to make it creamy, put it on my scalp. I don't put it in the rest of my hair, because the next step of the rinse does that for me. So I put it all over my scalp, and I mush it in, and I make sure it's in the bases and all over the scalp. And then I take a liter of ACV, and I use about half of it, dumping it down through my hair. Okay? So ACV is apple cider vinegar. It's fairly inexpensive, and you can get it literally in any grocery store. I use about a half a liter, but then again, I need to get it out through all of this. So basically, the chemical reaction between the ACV and the baking soda, you ever do a volcano project? It's vinegar and baking soda. It bubbles up. It's kind of like scrubbing bubbles. How it does the scrubbing, so you don't have to. The chemical reaction is like a scrubbing process. So it like picks up any shit that's built up on your hair, any product that might be there. And it's actually, somebody had actually asked me if it would like strip your hair color. Listen, I've done it twice since I dyed my hair purple. And you can see my hair is not very faded. I got roots, a little bit of rootage, but it's not really faded. It's still almost the exact color it was when I dyed it about a month ago. So you don't really have to worry about it stripping your hair color. To be honest, I can't really speak to that because I'm not sure if it works the same because I use so much hair color on mine because it absorbed. So yeah, and make sure when you do wash your hair, you never want to go to sleep with it wet. So I suggest doing your hair washing days when you don't have work, and it's not humid or something, you know, make sure you're in an air conditioned house or something and sit in front of a fan, use a blow dryer. I like to let it air dry in the morning, because the problem is when it's wet, all this in the hair and you let it dry that way. You ever smell a towel that's been sitting in the corner of the bathroom wet for a while? That mildew smell, that happens to your hair. And then if left unchecked, fungus will grow and y'all be stinking. So wash and thoroughly dry your hair. I can't really think of anything else. I feel like I touched on most things, though I know, and there's going to be other people with dreads watching this, so hi fellow dreadies. If I missed anything, please let me know. Also, I hope this video was better than the first. I know at least it was a lot more informative. I doubly hoped that it helped inform or influence your decision if you were considering getting dreads. Like, you now know it's not for you, or you now know you're ready to commit. I hope it helped. If it did, please, please, please click the button down below, subscribe, like, and hit the bell button because I'm going to be doing more dread videos. I dye my hair a lot. I'll show you some maintenance that I do. And, you know, we'll just extend our reach to the stars above when it comes to my hair. So I also do other stuff, makeup tutorials, reviews, weird and creepy things, and all other kinds of stuff. If you're on any other kinds of social media, I'm literally at Jane the Alien on all of it, except for Snapchat, because fuck Snapchat. Snapchat's for hoes. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. So I'm literally everywhere at Jane the Alien. So find me, say hi. Remember, I take requests, and, you know, tell me what you want to see. Questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, anything. Tell me what you want to see, and I'll do it because I will literally do anything for the most part. Anyway, until next time, aliens, this has been fun. I love you guys so much. Almost as much as I love my hair. Remember to stay weird.